Hey everyone, today's species spotlight is on a lesser known cousin of the much more well known and more widespread bull snake, and that is the Sonoran gopher snake. Now, when you look at this little girl here, who is our female Christmas Mountain locality Sonoran bull's gopher snake, you will notice that she looks quite a bit like a bull snake, but in fact, she's an entirely separate subspecies that prefers the warmer and drier climates of the southwest part of North America, mainly in the states of Arizona, New Mexico, western Texas, and even parts of northern Mexico. Now, when you look at this girl, clearly she does look like the bull snake, but they are fairly notable and different from them in a number of ways. So the full name of this guy, their scientific or Latin name, is Pituophis catenifer affinis. Affinis is their subspecies name, and affinis roughly translates to related to or near. So it's nearly related to other things. And then the catenifer, that's the species, actually means roughly chain bearer, which kind of relates to the really beautiful, cool side panels, blotches, and markings of these guys. And then Pituophis, their genus name, is essentially the breakdown of two different ones. Ophis, meaning snake-ish, or serpent, and then the Pitchus. And even then, there is a little bit of debate whether or not it's actually Pitchus or Pichuwu or something like that, which is either hissing sound or pine. Either way kind of works, considering that the gopher snakes, bull snakes, and pine snakes all belong to the genus Pituophis, and they are well known for the very intimidating hiss, which we'll go over in more detail in just a little bit. Now, these guys are a fairly large and robust species of North American colubrid. They're probably up there right under the bull snakes and the northern pine snakes. They average 4 to 6-ish feet long, but they have been known to get over 7 feet. Actually, I'm going to take that back. I'm pretty sure the Pacific gophers are actually averaging a little bit larger than the Sonorans. They're actually one of the more smaller subspecies. They are noted for and being distinguished against for them, number one, being a little bit more slender bodied. And if you look, they're a little bit more slender than a lot of bull snakes. Her head's a little bit more narrow. Their rostral scale count, or their nose scale count, is a little bit different than all of the other different species in the genus, as well as they are really well known for their high yellow and high orange coloration. Now, that isn't to say that every single one is. The Sonoran gophers are one of the more variable species of the Pituophis genus. Obviously, bull snakes have quite a few morphs out there too, and localities, but so do the Sonorans. These guys have a bunch of really iconic localities, including this girl and her boyfriend are Christmas Mountain in western Texas locality bull snakes, well known for their very bright oranges and contrasting dark saddles, as well as there are a bunch of other really cool pet morphs like anery and albino and hypo and white-sided and all these really cool things. Now, these guys actually now out in the wild are kind of well known for habitating areas of very kind of dry, tall, grassy plains. But they've also been found frequenting areas that are kind of more rocky cliff outcroppings, as well as the outskirts of pastures, as well as now, obviously, with the encroachment of more people expansion, these guys are often seen in kind of park areas in suburban areas. So if you were to go down to kind of a park somewhere in Arizona, you might be seeing one of these guys kind of basking. Their behavior is very similar to that of a lot of the other pine snakes, and that is that they are cathemeral. Although these guys do favor a little bit more of these guys do actually favor a bit more of a crepuscular lifestyle for a good chunk of their range because of how hot it gets during the day. Cathemeral, of course, meaning that instead of being active during dawn or dusk, day or night, they have intermittent periods of activity, so they can be hunting and sleeping all throughout all periods of the 24 hours of the day. But again, these guys are a little bit more crepuscular than, say, than the northern and the southern pine snakes and the bull snakes. Their main source of prey in the wild is, of course, one of their namesakes, the gopher. There are several different species of gophers out there that these guys do prey upon, although they also do frequently eat other mammalian prey animals as well as birds and eggs. In fact, these guys are also well known for climbing up like saguaro cactus stalks and going in and grabbing nesting birds as well as other trees and ground nesting animals as well. Now, these guys, like every other species in their genus, have something that's very particular about them, not including their large, robust size and their keeled scales. And that's that hiss that I mentioned earlier in the video. That hiss is something that is very specialized to the Pituophis. Now, all snakes have what's called an epiglottis. It's that little tube, and technically people and a lot of other species of animals have glottises as well. But it's that little tube in a snake's mouth that they use to essentially, a lot of times, breathe when they take such large prey items in. But every single species, including the Sonoran gopher here, has one that's shaped just a little bit differently. It's very flat and it's very flexible. And what that means is that it enables them to have air pass through it in a way to give them a very loud and intimidating hiss. Every single species of snake out there is a cryptid species and a prey item to something, even including cobras and anacondas, rattlesnakes, and these guys. So they want to be left alone. However, when they feel that running away isn't an option, these are a species that seem to take more of a come at me bro attitude. And that's why they will do their mimicking tail rattle, which they'll rattle their tail very rapidly. And at the very beginning of the video, you might have seen her doing it just a little bit, but she finally is like, oh, okay, cool, I'm not going to get eaten. I'm normally messing with the boy a little bit more because he's going from, his enclosure to her enclosure to breed. But they will do that very intimidating rattle to warn people off, imitating that rattlesnake, as well as they will also open their mouth, stand upright as best they can, hissing up and giving a very defensive posture, and then hissing that very loud and intimidating hiss. Now, these guys are known for their come at me bro and defensive attitude. So, all of this in mind, translated over to keeping in captivity. These guys can be very great and very rewarding captives. Their care is relatively easy. Being from North America, they don't really need crazy high temperatures, but being from a warmer part of the world, they do need a little bit warmer of a basking spot, as well as they will probably really just need one humid hide to alleviate their shedding needs. These guys very frequently will just kind of blow their sheds out, but not always, especially if you give them a nice humid hide. But stuck shed isn't something you really have to deal with these guys when compared to something like a ball python, a boa, or heck, even a corn snake that needs more humidity. As well as, again, they need that little bit warmer basking spot. They do love to climb, so give them plenty of space if you can. This is a very active and intelligent animal. And if you give them the space, unlike, let's say, like a ball python, that will use the whole space, if you give them like a 6x3 enclosure, you just won't see them very often. These guys will absolutely make use of it. And then once they're used to you, they have a tendency to kind of come out and see what's going on and to investigate what exactly you're doing. One of my cohorts in this really fun animal hobby that we have, Lori Cherini, actually recently, a couple months ago, came out with a video where her Sonoran gopher snake actually wanted to come out and actually interact with her for one of the very first times ever. So that means just to say that these guys are all individuals and they have their own personalities, which kind of brings me to the one kind of negative part about these guys, is that they do, in fact, even as hatchlings, as you've seen, have a very defensive attitude. They are deathly afraid to be getting messed with, and they don't want to be left alone very often. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that they always will forever and ever. As you can see, this girl right here is doing just fine with me. She was a little bit kind of at first, but she kind of, okay, this is fine, not for very long. It was really fun to have her out because I love working with this genus. These guys are absolutely adorable little animals. They have fairly high metabolisms for snakes. So that's one of the benefits of keeping snakes, is that you don't have to feed them very often, especially with something like a boa species, like a boa or a python. But these guys can actually eat much more often. They metabolize and actually go to the bathroom much more often, which actually leads to some horror stories about these guys. And in fact, they're eating so quickly that even whole parts of like a mouse or rat will actually come out in their excrement, which sounds totally gross, I know. But it's actually another really kind of cool and unique thing about keeping these species. They're really cool. I love these guys so much. And the fact that I can work with these guys over more of the bull snakes is really fun. Yes, I do have several bull snakes that were gifted to me to use as ambassador animals. These guys not being native to Colorado makes it a little bit easier for me to mess with these guys. And I do love pretty much every single species in this genus. And that's actually, I don't really want to sit there and like, gotta catch them all Pokemon with all the snakes. But I do really want to be able to keep every single species that belongs to the genus Pitchwophus, and then the Goniosoma, the Asian rat snakes that the rhino rat snakes and the red tail rat snakes belong to. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. I really love being able to talk about these kind of lesser known, but kind of always a bit of a staple species that have been in this hobby for a very long time, to be able to highlight this. So if you can, please Like and subscribe, hit the bell notification to let you know when we have more of this actual real reptile content coming out. If there's anything you would like to see, please let me know down in the comments. I may not get to it right away, but I do write them down every single time in my little notebook here if I think I can do it. And I'm always looking to be able to give you the best possible, educated and centered information and really good content that I can. So I always try to do my best. But again, let me know down in the comments if you have any other questions, comments, concerns. You can always email me, hit me up on all my other Instagram, Facebook, yada, yada, yada. And if you would love this content and you want to support me even more than just viewing, which I already super appreciate, you can check out my Patreon. I have a ton of different ones on there. Super appreciate it. Again, thank you all so much. If you want to see more species spotlights, you can check out the playlist here at the end of the video, like all the other species spotlights. I have over 6 different species on there, and I'm going to be redoing some of the more older videos now that I've gotten a little bit better at doing a little bit more research. So again, thank you all so much. Hope you're having a great day, and we'll check you next time.